One Piece is finally off break, and fans are already very excited to see what Oda has in store for them this week. The Egghead Island arc is continuing with incredible intensity at the moment, as the arc edges closer to its conclusion with each passing chapter. Right now, Egghead appears to be in its very climax, and this final phase of the story could end up very badly for the Straw Hat Pirates, especially now that very sinister forces have appeared on Egghead. One Piece Chapter 1110 is what every fan has their eyes on at the moment, and it's certainly going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening on Egghead this week. The true form of the Five Elders. In the previous chapter of One Piece, fans got to see the battle between Luffy and the duo of Saturn and Kizaru continue with full intensity. As expected, Luffy was the dominant force in this fight. However, at the same time, it was pointed out that Luffy was not able to hurt Saturn all that much with what he was doing, regardless of having the upper hand. At the same time, Vegapunk's announcement finally started, with a timer of 10 minutes counting down. In these 10 minutes, the Straw Hat Pirates have to do their best to hold out and make sure that Vegapunk's message reaches the outside world. This is going to be quite a difficult task, especially because the world government is doing everything they possibly can to stop this message from getting out. In One Piece Chapter 1110, fans will see the continuation of events from the end of the last chapter, where Saturn, using some demonic powers, conjured a summoning circle, and using these circles, he brought forth the remaining of the elders to Egghead. Now, Luffy is faced with all 5 elders at once, and this does not bode well for him at the moment. If one draws a parallel between this moment and when Saturn first appeared on Egghead using a summoning circle, then it would be quite apparent to the fans that the 5 elders will showcase their devil fruit powers in the chapter. Saturn showed his powers immediately after arriving on Egghead, and similarly, the remaining members of the 5 elders will most certainly do it too. They will showcase what ability they have up their sleeve, and this power is surely going to be some form of yokai-like ability, strong enough to make a difference on Egghead. Fans are going to be incredibly excited to see One Piece Chapter 1110 tackle this aspect of the story, as the 5 elders, in general, are some of the most exciting characters in the entire series, and ones that fans have waited months to see more of. The fact that their powers are finally going to be revealed in OP Chapter 1110 has all of them excited. Luffy versus 5 elders. Of course, Luffy will fight them, and this is most certainly going to be the focus of the Egghead Island arc. As fans know already, Egghead is incredibly unpredictable so far, and the upcoming chapter of the story will most likely add another layer of unpredictability to it. There is absolutely no way the fans can predict how the battle between Luffy and the 5 elders will go. Given that Luffy was dominating Saturn in combat, it would be a safe bet to say that he can, at the very least, take on 2 of the elders by himself. However, when faced with all 5 of them, Luffy is not going to be able to do much. At the same time, the problem against the 5 elders is not dominating them, but actually managing to damage them in battle. Luffy, although dominant against Saturn, was not able to harm him even a bit. If he wasn't even able to make an impression against one of them, defeating all 5 is going to be practically impossible for him. It is highly likely that One Piece Chapter 1110 will highlight the superiority of the 5 elders, and give a reality check to the fans when it comes to the difficulty of the final war saga in One Piece. As such, One Piece Chapter 1110 might actually not go in the favor of the Straw Hat Pirates, triggering a sequence of events that will see the story go against them. Dory and Brogy's arrival. As has been established already, Luffy is certainly not strong enough to take down all 5 elders by himself, which is why One Piece Chapter 1110 will see help come his way in the form of the Giants of Elbaf, specifically Dory and Brogy. As fans know already, these 2 powerful giants are on the way to where Luffy is right now, and they aim to aid him in battle greatly. With their tremendous size and strength, they can surely make a difference. However, even with their help, taking down all 5 elders at the same time isn't really plausible for Luffy. Still, it is better than nothing, and it will finally kickstart what could end up being the ultimate fight of the Egghead Island arc, that is, Luffy and the Giants versus the power of the 5 elders. At the same time, fans might see more of the giant pirates on Egghead, as quite a few of them are rampaging on this island already. There are others who are preparing to evacuate from the island, and it is possible that fans will get a proper look at them too. While they might not be exciting, this plot point is going to be incredibly important if the Straw Hat Pirates are to escape from this hellish island. the Egghead Evacuation Plan. One Piece Chapter 1110 is most likely also going to focus on the evacuation plan of the Straw Hat Pirates. As fans know already, the Straw Hats have been attempting to escape from Egghead for quite a while now. Fighting an all-out war with the Marines was never the goal. Instead, the plan was to make a successful escape from the island, along with Vegapunk. However, now, Vegapunk's life is in danger, and he might have died already. Still, his satellites remain, and the priority might shift to protecting them instead. At the same time, the Straw Hat Pirates will most certainly have to hold out for 10 minutes, so that Vegapunk's message is sent out to the world. As soon as that happens, the crew will slightly prepare to evacuate from the island, and make way to the next island, that is Elbaf. Regardless of whether One Piece Chapter 1110 focuses on this aspect of the story or not, Oda will see through it that the Straw Hat Pirates make proper preparations when it comes to dealing with the threat at hand, as well as having an evacuation plan ready. All that and much more could be tackled in One Piece Chapter 1110. And in other news, One Piece Gear 5's perfected form explained. Luffy's Gear 5 has certainly proven to be one of the most incredible abilities to be introduced in One Piece, and it isn't a stretch to say that this power is the strongest that he has up his sleeve. Gear 5 was first introduced in the Wano Country arc, and there, it helped Luffy defeat the Emperor of the Sea, Kaido. Ever since then, Gear 5 has only grown in terms of importance, and it has managed to take Luffy to the next level as a pirate. Clearly, Gear 5 is incredible in more ways than one. However, a lot of the fans are, naturally, wondering if Gear 5 is as far as Luffy can go. After all, the final saga has just begun, and it could be rather strange if Luffy doesn't have something new up his sleeve for when the major battles begin. Luffy's peak, Gear 5. Gear 5 is a very unique transformation in many ways, as this form isn't reliant on Luffy utilizing different aspects of his Devil Fruit power. For instance, Gear 2nd was triggered by Luffy figuring out how to pump blood faster through his body by utilizing the rubber aspect of his body. At the same time, Gear 3rd was somewhat similar, and it saw Luffy utilize the rubber aspect of his body once again, pumping blood into his bones to reach the next level of strength. Gear 4, meanwhile, saw Luffy pump air directly into his muscles, and then utilize Haki to increase the tension and elasticity of rubber. This allowed him incredible strength and speed in combat, which he needed to wrestle stronger enemies of the New World. All these aspects of Devil Fruit power were smartly thought of by Luffy, and, as a result, these gears were largely his creations in a more active manner. Gear 5 isn't like that. Gear 5 is simply a transformation that Luffy gets after he awakens his Devil Fruit. In the Wano Country arc, Kaido pushed Luffy to such a level that he ended up awakening his Devil Fruit. In Kaido's own words, Devil Fruit awakening happens when the mind and the body of the user catch up with the ability. As such, this transformation was unlocked by Luffy in a more indirect manner, yet it is one that can be considered to be his strongest. Luffy himself mentions Gear 5 to be his peak, and this grants one a clear look at the fact that Luffy likely cannot go beyond that as far as Devil Fruit transformations go. For one, there is nothing that can surpass Devil Fruit awakening, and as a result, when it comes to Devil Fruit powers, Luffy has truly reached his peak. However, Luffy's words, when he says that he has reached his peak, can be easily misunderstood. When talking about his peak, Luffy is speaking more about the Devil Fruit aspect of his abilities. Luffy has attained the ultimate transformation with Gear 5, and it is a form that has seen him gain tremendous strength. He cannot go beyond this form in terms of gears, however, he certainly can still get stronger. Can Luffy go beyond Gear 5? As mentioned earlier, Gear 5 is certainly one of the strongest abilities that Luffy has up his sleeve. It isn't a surprise for the fans to know that in terms of Devil Fruit powers, Luffy has reached his pinnacle. However, Luffy can certainly go beyond Gear 5. Devil Fruits are not the only abilities to exist in the One Piece world, after all. As such, Luffy can still mess around with his Devil Fruit, and even Gear 5 can be incorporated with Haki in unique ways, which would then give him new power-ups in the future of the story. To answer the question simply, Luffy certainly can go beyond Gear 5, and this is very much possible. In fact, it is highly likely that Luffy will go beyond Gear 5 in the final saga, simply because the stronger enemies would require him to push himself more. Right now, Luffy has only faced off against Admiral Kizaru and Saint Saturn. However, there are many powerful enemies that are awaiting him. Fleet Admiral Sakazuki, Blackbeard, Emu, and many others are still awaiting Luffy. These are the enemies that Luffy will need to push himself against, and they will certainly require him to utilize Gear 5 in the very best manner, and, perhaps, develop new applications of it with his boundless creativity. At some point in the final saga, Luffy will most likely create unique transformations within Gear 5 itself, which would either be stronger, faster, or serve some other purpose, thus making Gear 5 even more versatile. That is something that fans should be looking forward to, and this transformation would then help him in the many battles to come. How Luffy can perfect Gear 5. When it comes to perfecting Gear 5 even further, the only solution that one can figure out is Haki. Of course, Luffy can always increase his stamina and figure out how to prolong Gear 5. However, to truly strengthen this power up, Luffy needs to strengthen his Haki first of all. In terms of Devil Fruit usage, few individuals can match Luffy at this point in time. However, in terms of Haki, there are a few who come on the skill on a higher level. Luffy must reach that level of strength in the future of the story to be able to match characters such as Shanks. As such, the key to taking Gear 5 to the next level is to master Haki. Even though he has already mastered all three aspects of advanced Haki, there are characters who possess even better control over this skill. For instance, Shanks can channel his Conqueror's Haki from a very great distance, as was showcased towards the end of Wano. Shanks could also use the power of observation killing, which is yes another subtype of his Conqueror's Haki. Overall, his Conqueror's Haki is just much stronger, as is evident from the fact that he was able to one-shot Kid in combat. Shanks also commands other forms of Haki much better than Luffy, and, put together, all these things make sense as he is stronger than the Straw Hat Emperor at this point in time. Luffy's Gear 5 is strong, however. In order to truly match and beat Shanks, he has to push it beyond all limits. Simply put, Gear 5 is very strong and it is certainly the peak of Luffy's Devil Fruit abilities. However, it can certainly be pushed beyond all limits while incorporating stronger Haki. In the final saga, Luffy will have to focus on his Haki specifically and push it beyond all limits in order to improve Gear 5. But perhaps, by incorporating better Haki with Gear 5, Luffy will come up with newer forms of Gear 5 itself, which would be much stronger and help him defeat the stronger enemies that he is to face later down the line. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing videos very soon.